Okay, I just came back from Superman, and I don't really have a quirky intro, so we're just gonna get straight into it. However, I came out with the Cinemark crypto popcorn bucket, or what there is of a bucket, as well as a Superman drink cup. I also have the actual, Superman popcorn bucket from Cinemark, as well as the crypto dog bowl. Yeah, I basically bought all the Cinemark Superman merchandise. So, yeah. But anyway, so about Superman. Right, in case y'all don't know, I'm actually like a huge Superman fan. Like, there's not a lot of superheroes I really give a damn about anymore, but like Superman is probably like the only hero that I could say I actually look up to. Yeah, a lot of people say, hey, the DC characters, you're meant to look up to them, and Marvel characters, you're meant to relate to them. And I can understand the appeal to Marvel characters, but like I never looked at a Marvel character and said, yeah, that person's a hero. I mean, maybe on like a technical level, yeah, for sure, but like I don't know, they just never really resonate with me. I do relate to them, but like I don't want to. I'm not looking for relatability from a hero. I'm looking to look up to them. Like, I'm looking for someone to look up to and inspire me to do more. You know what I mean? That's probably the best way for me to really put it. And I will say, as I've grown up, I've started to, dislike comic books more and more. The fan base is kind of annoying, and just certain narrative decisions, or just decisions in general, to tell stories around these characters get kind of whack, I think it's like the prelude to the absolute I think it's like a prelude to Absolute Power, the failsafe story arc, when Batman was like coming down into the atmosphere on just like a piece metal debris from a destroyed ship, and when he's crashing through the atmosphere, he's gonna get flattened like a pancake. So the way he counteracted it was by blowing an oxygen tank in the opposite direction. And I'm just like, that's just too ridiculous for me. I mean, is it Batman schlock? Oh, fuck yeah. But like, nah, that was just too ridiculous for me. I'm like, this makes me not want to be a comic book fan anymore. And I used to have a huge pantheon of superheroes that I always liked growing up, but now it's just really relegated to just Batman and Superman, despite Batman having like a ridiculous moment recently. Absolute Batman is absolutely sick though. So this brings us to James Gunn's interpretation of Superman in the year 2025. I've been looking forward to this film ever since it was announced, as Superman Legacy. And when the trailer came out and you finally see the real cadence of, and you finally hear the cadence for David Cornsweet's take on Superman, I got more and more excited, of course, And that feeling as a kid growing up before, the cynicism of adulthood kicks in, where there's an upcoming event that you're just very excited about, whether it's a new game coming out, or in this case, a new movie, school field trip, unboxing gifts on Christmas Day or whatever. And as each day goes by, the weight becomes more and more dreadful. But then you get closer to it, and all of a sudden the excitement just starts going through the roof again. And then when the day finally comes and you're participating in that event, and you just go, I can't believe it's happening. Like, whether it's, you picked up the game from the store and you're actually playing it, or you're on the school bus going to that school field trip, or you're unwrapping the presents under the Christmas tree, right? And you just go, wow, I can't believe this is actually happening. I can't believe we finally made it. That's kind of what I felt about going into this movie, Like, when the opening scene rolled around, I'm like, damn, this movie I've been excited about for who knows how long. And as the days gotten closer, each work day that goes by, I'm like, ooh, I am so ready to see this movie. And then I'm finally sitting in the theater, the opening scene's finally playing out, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe this day has finally come. I can't believe this is actually happening. And this is a feeling I haven't had with a movie, or just in general, in such a long time, So ultimately, how do I feel about this movie, right? A couple things, right? I should probably address, or maybe just one thing actually. I'm ultimately happy that this movie gonna push Superman back into the mainstream media, because his character kind of been like dying out for a while now, right? Especially with the success of Marvel and the MCU, more and more characters just come in and take the spotlight, as Superman kind of just been taking a backseat for most part, because studio meddling doesn't know what they want to do with the character or anything. And not only that, the representation we did get from him kind of damaged his image, if anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed Man of Steel. There was a handful of moments that I've enjoyed in that film that instilled the feeling of hope and just inspiration and awe. But overall, the movie noticeably has a lot of problems still, and and it still kind of hurts the character of Superman at the end of the day. But like I said, with this movie, I'm just glad that this is gonna start help recovering that image and put Superman back in the spotlight, which he rightfully deserves, honestly. So to actually talk about the film, right, like, considering this is a Superman movie, and a Superman story, it really hinges on one thing to be successful, and that's the characterization of Clark Kent and how that affects his role as Superman. And this movie definitely captures that near perfectly for the most part. I will say a couple things I do want to say right away. You know how y'all know how Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth or whoever, right, has become the face of their respective characters. Well, I think David Corenswet is going to be the definitive face for Superman for this generation, and I'm really excited about that. Just the way his cadence and mannerism really captures the feeling of Superman, and with the writing behind it, you know, which accurately portrays Superman and how he would react to under certain situations, really captures the heart of Superman. And I think a lot of fans, that alone will make them satisfied with this movie. And Superman has historically always been like a static character through his story arc. Like, he has a very flat story arc, but he was designed to be that way, you know? Like, it's to demonstrate how his ideals will shine through every dark situation that life may throw at him. Like, no matter how unrealistic his ideals might be, the point of him being static as a character. Yeah, I completely forgot where I was going with that statement. ADHD things, apparently. And a few more things, just the way this film was shot and the way things were choreographed also helps with the tone of the film. Because this movie felt pretty silly at times, very cheesy, kind of corny too, but that really captures the spirit of Superman. A really quick, vague spoiler, probably skip forward like 30 seconds to avoid it, but that action scene with Mr. Terrific was fantastic. Fucking love that scene. But overall, the way with the tone of the film and the way it was shot, like, it felt like I was watching a cartoon at times. And you know what? It works, because like I said, it's kind of what Superman is. So now this is where I kind of, you know, go into where this movie is kind of flawed, and it's the fact that the story felt a little rushed. Everything felt very surface level, but I mean I guess you can say, I guess you can make an argument that that's kind of the character of Superman as well, even though that's not entirely true, but like his nature kind of lends into it a little bit. But I guess the general narrative felt like it was being held together by like loose strings, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the overall narrative felt like, you know, vague photographs just clipped onto hanging string wires instead of, you know, an actual sticky note, thoroughly written and detailed, stapled onto an actual bulletin board. That's what the narrative felt like in this movie, and it kind of hurts with a lot of the moments as well. Like, this movie felt like it could have been longer, and it should have been longer, because, you know, it gives time to flesh out more story points and tighten up a lot of the character arcs. I mean, yeah, Superman is supposed to, you know, be pretty static for the most part, but the surrounding cast of characters don't have to be, right? Again, though, just the way things concluded for the characters felt really lackluster, but like they were definitely like on the right path to having something much greater. It just wasn't fully realized, because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the runtime, despite being, you know, 2 hours long minimum, it still felt very rushed. And I do think the movie is pretty fast-paced in general, but I think just more so the fact that I was having so much fun watching it. But yeah, no, the movie definitely needed to be a little longer, because, you know, there's a lot of components that didn't feel very well focused on. But overall, I'm definitely, you know, very excited with the direction that the DCU is going in right now, you know. In James Gunn, we trust, right? And overall, I'm just very satisfied with the film I got. I mean, don't get me wrong, even though the issue is minor, like, it's kind of like major enough to, you know, if you're not as much of a Superman fan like I am, it could definitely take away from your experience, because there's a lot of dramatic moments that were supposed to hit a little harder, but like with the pacing and the way it was built into it, right? And even the pacing of said scenes felt kind of fast. But ultimately, this film needed to really capture the heart of Superman, and that's exactly what it did. Even though Creatures Commando is technically the first outing for the DCU universe, or James Gunn's vision of the DCU, Superman is not a bad first start or first step for this new cinematic universe. And it does make me wonder, you know, how everything's gonna tie together with one another as, you know, the universe expands, because like some of these characters can't have the same tonality as Superman, you know, like Batman, for example, much darker, much grittier. The cheesy tone for his movie or for his film just isn't gonna work as well. But overall, I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Superman's back. But yeah, that's pretty much my overall take on this film. I don't know what to say, man. I'm just happy. I'm ready to go see the movie again. If anything, I wasn't planning to make a video or have any sort of commentary or assessment on this film until I at least, you know, see it a couple more times. But, you know, I just have so much thoughts right away. I just really want to share it. After I watch the movie a couple more times, if I have anything much more drastic to say, I might make a follow-up video. But ultimately, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I mean, I have my letterbox right here that was supposed to act as my script, but, you know, I don't read. If worst comes to worst, I'll update my letterbox. Follow me over there. And yeah, I guess I'll catch y'all later. Oh, forgot to mention, I know there's a lot of videos I've said I'm gonna that I'm gonna deliver on, which I have not. And there's also like a lot of movies in between that I've watched but never really had much to say or enough to say to warrant like a full video. And I'm thinking I'm just probably gonna compile it all into one video later. There's quite a few movies too that y'all might enjoy in there. So, all right, that's that. Catch y'all later. Woo.